Ni hao, 我是深圳人，我在中国工作14年. Or, hello, I'm from Shenzhen, and I work in China for 14 years. It is nice to meet you here today. To get an understanding of how many 1.4 billion people is, that is 2 times all the inhabitants of the European Union, added up together with 1 time North America, yeah, so USA and Canada. Shall we do a little test? Who knows Shanghai? Pretty much everybody, should be one of the largest cities in the world with 36 million people. But who knows Chongqing? Still a few, I count a few hands there. A city in the middle of China with 25 million people. To give you an understanding, you see a picture here behind it. And who knows my city, Shenzhen? A lot more, so this one got a little bit more publicity. It's the city just above Hong Kong of 17.5 million people today. And the next slide, and let it sink in, here behind me, in that table are the 20 largest cities of China, added up together to 335 million people. Yeah? That's about the size of the United States. Had to look at the first 3. Guangzhou, 3 times the size of the Netherlands. Shanghai, 2 times the size. Chongqing, 1.5 times the size of the Netherlands. And then a bunch of cities below that that are pretty much equal the size or larger than the Netherlands, with number 20 still larger than 8 million people. Okay? And then every year or so, there is another Netherlands added to this total population. So thanks God, the relationship between China and Netherlands is pretty good for hundreds of years already, and many immigrants come here, and we are very thankful for the takeaway Chinese until small cities like Veghel. Thank you very much. Or so I should say my Rijstad. I'm going to tell you today about my Shenzhen, the city where I live since 2005, and I kind of want to explain you today why I should really think that you should consider seriously that besides teaching your children English, and that you should also teach them Chinese. Because if change has taken place anywhere else in the world, faster than in a rate that it has done in China, then it is indeed in that country and in my town, Shenzhen. And I'm going to do this with the help of a few topics that nicely firm the word China. As you can see, the C for culture, H for human, the I for infrastructure, the N for nature, and I want to touch a little bit of what China is doing with artificial intelligence. Shenzhen, a city that is only merely 40 years old, celebrated its birthday last year. Now, was in that time about 30,000 people, just a bunch of rice fields, fishermen villages. And now, 2005, when I arrived, about 5 million people, and today, around 17 plus. So can you imagine that in that time that I spent there, about each year, 1 million or so plus people came to that city, and it grew with that. To show you the change, this is on the right side, is where I live right now, and how it was about not so long ago, around 30 years ago. This is on the right side, you see the central business district, Futian, how it is now, and how it looked not so long ago. And the last picture, you see that green building there? On the left, about 100 meters to the left, is where my office is, so where I daily work, and how it is now, and how it pretty much looked in the beginning years, to show you how quickly things can go there. And how is it possible that a country, a city like that grows so fast? Well, one of the first things that I saw when I came to China was that Chinese people have a great work ethics. They can work hard, really. There's a lot of streets in my city that never sleep, where the lights are always on, where the people are always, where it's always crowded. Where Pop and Mom shops are open 24/7 next to McDonald's and the Starbucks. But also the factory worker that often works from home, thousands of kilometers away, can go home once or twice a year, 2 or 3 weeks at a time at most. Rather works 100 hours a week than 80 hours. Because they want to make money for when they're older. There is no pension plan for so many people. But also, of course, to save money for the family or for the children's education. But also, in the office environment, there is this work ethics of doing overtime, finish what you have to finish, or even come back on Saturdays or Sundays, if necessary, to finish what you have to do. And then you can grow with 7 to 20% a year over the last 20 years. And yes, I believe, Mark, that we probably going to work less, but also sometimes I think on the other side, people think again here in Europe with your 8 to 5 mentality, because the Chinese are going very fast. And they want to become number one in many things, and with what they're doing at the moment, with working hard, they will achieve that. They are doing that in many, many parts of the economy. And you can see that America has grown very nicely with 8 times of the GDP in the last 40 years, but China has done it with a staggering 51 times, to give you the difference there. And where does this start? Well, it starts with education. So there's no country in the world where there's so much money being spent on education, after-schools activities, international study trips, etc. And the whole family often works together to make that happen, because the children also are the future, are the next generation, but again, they also take care, hopefully, when the parents are older, for your pension plan, because there is no such system as such provided by the country itself. And it is not cheap to raise children in a big city. I know myself. But for example, just a small example, if my son is 5 years old, if he plays football on a Saturday afternoon for 1 hour, it costs me around €25. I looked up quickly on the internet, Blauw-Geel-Veghel, I shouldn't say football, soccer, it's in English. The soccer team here charges its junior pupils around €140 for a whole season. But of course, to rent a football pitch in the middle of a city like Shenzhen is a different price tag than here in Veghel. The Chinese also have become more wealthier, as we already said. The whole economy has gone up, and with that, what's very important is face, image. Don't forget, face is one of the major things that Chinese really want to show. Always they are big, they are doing good. So it is more important to have a big German car in front of your house or in the garage than it's important what's in the house, because the furniture that my neighbors don't see, but that big German car they can see. And as you can see here also, they are taking a large part of the luxury worldwide market for their, it is done by Chinese people. And also where the Chinese were eating in the beginning, I could bring them stroopwafels. They were very happy with that, but cheese in 2005, 6, 7, no thank you. But also now cheeseburgers and bratwurst and international food like Brazilian barbecue are very common. Then the gap with that has become bigger. The gap means the income gap between low and high income, but there is also a huge middle class gap there, of income group there. So definitely the country has become more richer, so less poor people, but there's also a generation gap that's there. I have that with my son, I have that with my parents. That is normal. We have a different view on life. We listen to different music. We have different jobs. We eat different food. Even that's normal. But in China, you have to imagine this has kind of gone double as fast. In China, they started on often in rural areas, on a farmland, and then they moved to the cities and to the most modern cities in the world, where everything is fast, high-speed trains and mobile phones, internet. So kind of the parents still know only how to work. They survived by working, and their children, the new generation, they work, live, and play. They kind of want to have it all. But often these two generations live together. This is, for example, this is a picture from Hong Kong, but small apartments like this are not uncommon. And then it is quite normal that when a baby gets born, father and mother really both have to work to provide for that income and the education, and then one of the two parents from husband or mother's side, a wife's side, come in the house, and then you have, let's say, your grandfather, grandmother living in the house. So not always easy, but again, there is no social security system yet for 1.4 billion people, and that will not happen anytime soon. Last July, I was sitting with my wife in the train from Schiphol, Amsterdam Schiphol to Den Bosch, and my wife says, Jesus, these trains actually drive very slow, right? They drive about half the speed of Shenzhen. And I said, yeah, maybe not even a quarter of the speed, sweetheart, because the high-speed trains in Shenzhen by now drive 400 kilometers an hour. There where it took me before 2.5 hours to get from Hong Kong to Shenzhen, it now takes a mere 30 to 40 minutes. And to Guangzhou, which is a 200-kilometer ride, it's not even an hour anymore. It's less, and it's incredible. And yeah, because if you have a city like that, 17 million people, you have to build an infrastructure. This is the metro lines that they built in 15 years. Yeah, to give you an idea how fast things can be done when they wanted to. And how do you do that then? Because if you look at the Netherlands, for example, take an example, the Betuwe line or the Amsterdam North-South line. Yeah? They took almost decades. Before we decided we're going to do it, until the moment of realization and the first trains driving took tens of years. Yeah? If we would do that in Shenzhen, you could not build a city. So that's maybe one of the things that can happen in a one-party system, call it communism. Yeah? Then there is one boss that says, let's do it, and then everybody does it. And then it happens. Else you cannot grow with 1 million people a year. Impossible. And then there's always people that didn't like the message, please move next month because we're going to build a highway through your house. And then you can choose to stay if you would like to. My city is pretty cool. This is some of the icon buildings behind me. Some of them 600 meters higher, and there's a few more planned for the future. But to give you an idea, in the last few years only, in Shenzhen, they built more skyscrapers, and the definition of skyscrapers is buildings higher than 200 meters. They built more skyscrapers in a few years' time than there are currently today present in the whole of North America. Okay? Let that sink in. And that's Shenzhen as 6th, 7th city in China, in a few years' time. But my city is pretty cool. There's lots of green, beautiful parks. And when I drive in the morning to work, I see many palm trees and flowers. And the city government takes care of that. It's a really livable, nice work environment. Although it's crowded, of course, but it is. You have space to go outside. And they take nature very seriously with projects like this, Green City, Green Forest City. It starts in 2020 in several locations. And these are cities of 50,000 people, complete with schools, hospitals, entertainment, shopping malls. And they, with their millions of trees, with a biodiversity of hundreds, they suck out 100,000 kg of carbon dioxide from the air. So blue skies are coming back. And they're pretty much 100% energy efficient. And I also remember days like this, often too well, that we were driving in factory land we call Ningbo, and we couldn't see the mountain hardly, 50 meters away, because it was so far, so smoggy. Or that we were in the Hong Kong office on the 29th floor, and we saw literally a yellow mountain of smog coming towards the office, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, in 5 minutes' time, it was pitch black. We couldn't see a meter away from the window, and we said, hey, maybe we stay a few more hours in the office before we go outside. But China is doing this as well. They're making big solar parks all over the country. They are following the Paris Climate Agreement. They want to be a front runner there. They're putting in this new regulation, and they're following up on it to make it happen. And also, don't forget that China, until about 2012, really took a lot of other countries' garbage, literally. Their leftover production waste up until nuclear waste. And then they said, hey, maybe we slow down on that and we take a look first at our own environment and nature. But you also see that when China wants something, this is to show you what they put in energy renewable jobs. And even if you take the number of inhabitants into account, then still they win a prize here. So also they are investing in this type of technology. They want to make the innovation and sell it, of course, as well, be economically viable with it. But and when China wants something in Shenzhen, we have 60,000 taxis and 20,000 buses And about 2 years ago, in about over a year and a half, they changed all of them, and not half of them, all of them, into green. Okay? All of them, electric, in 1.5 years. 60,000 taxis and 20,000 buses. Artificial intelligence is a technology that China is investing in, because they say who's the dominant leader in this technology will probably be the dominant player in the world. So the game on with America, I would say. And how do you do that? Well, yeah, invest in it. So 2 years ago already, pretty much half of the money, equity, private equity money, that became available went into startups related to artificial intelligence, higher than America would do. And then you get companies like this. Most of them have headquarters in my back garden, or the second office. But to give you an idea, Foxconn, that makes pretty much all your mobile phones here, has 400,000 workers in Shenzhen. 400,000, the size of Eindhoven times 1.5 something. A city by itself, by one factory. And these companies, they don't only make the robots for industry, the self-driving cars, the coolest apps, they also make earphones and microwave ovens, thanks God, but that's pretty much it. Silicon Valley is Shenzhen. Also online shopping, the Chinese are front runner there. Amazing what they did last year. In one single day, Singles Day, they spent together $30 billion online. 30 billion. Compared to the other 3 largest American shopping days, Thanksgiving, Cyber Monday, Black Friday, who add up together to a mere 18 billion, but to give you the difference. I want to lift out one super app. Maybe some people know WeChat. Who has WeChat here? Oh, quite a few. Cool. You might say that's WhatsApp. No, it's not WhatsApp. It's WhatsApp plus Facebook, plus Twitter, plus Instagram, plus shopping, plus my wallet. I don't have cash anymore in China. Zero, Zero. I just go from home and I check if my phone still has battery. That's the only thing I need. With me, 900 million people do the same. There is still cash maybe in rural areas and so on. In the cities, everything you can pay with your mobile phone. Not here and there, maybe, no, everything. The cinema, the parking garage, the McDonald's, the scooter you buy. Here you see the numbers of WeChat. 1 billion active users send 45 billion messages a day. 900 million people of those users actively use WeChat as their only wallet, pretty much. And here, look at the purple one. WeChat, as one single app, uses 1/3 of China's total data communication. One app, a super app. Because why? There's 1 million mini apps below WeChat. Those 1 million mini apps are pretty much all the companies that make use of the platform and the payment system. And then there is some people that don't like it, that you don't have coins in your pocket anymore. So this is the local beggar. But they also go technology, so you can scan the QR code if you still want to give him some money, because he's without a job else. And you have to watch out that your face doesn't get photographed. It's not everywhere, but some crossings in China already, in Shenzhen. If you cross the red light, make an offense, you might get your picture taken, and publicly named and shamed. So they know it's you, and by the time you're 20 meters away from that crossing, you hear a beep and you check, and also 25 euro in renminbis are signed off your WeChat account. So, paid, thank you very much. And if you then also want to come to China in not all too long time for a designer baby, let's say you want a little bit taller, stronger, smarter baby, then that's possible. And if that's morally accepted and if that's ethical, I leave that to another TEDx talk. But if they can do it, they will do it. That's for sure. Okay? It will happen in China. So therefore, don't forget what I said. With all those things happening, if you think about teaching your children English and always look to the West, I would highly recommend you sometimes look to the East and seriously consider to learn your children Chinese. Really, really think about it, because it's becoming a more and more important language in the world. And this is the last picture, just to show you what happens if you mix China with Holland. Then you get my son, the right side, and that's with his classmates, so that's same age. So you don't need always biotechnology for that. Thank you very much.